Yo, what's up, guys? I'm Chase, and I'm sitting here with Ethan for Smark Week. This is the first ever The Smark Weekly, where we talk about AEW Dynamite. Oh man, what a fucking show! Like up and down, it was still great. I gotta fix something here. There we go. Up and down, it was still a great show overall. I had a good time watching it. Started off the show. I'm sure you were the same way. We were texting back and forth a little bit. Just grinning fucking ear to ear like a kid on Christmas, man.
Yeah. Uh, I was like, I flipped over and I'm watching it count down. I can't remember the last time I'm sitting there actively waiting for a weekly wrestling show to start. Like, let's do this. Let's do this.
Dude, for a whole year. Like, literally
Yeah.
since the Being the Elite episode where they showed their fucking phone. It's
Yeah.
just been like, okay, I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready. And finally, dude, fucking 10 months later, it's here. And again, overall, a pretty solid show. I think there were definitely some high expectations going into it because we did wait 10 months for the first episode. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't think anyone could have possibly met those expectations. Um, but given that, like, still a solid show. Good way to start it off, and holy shit, man, fucking finish. I mean, we won't go into it too much right now, but damn. Um,
I thought especially for because one of the things that was different about this is they kind of already had the card completely laid out, and I don't really think that's something they'll have. There'll be a little bit of surprise to the rest of the shows going forward, I would assume. So I
yeah,
thought it was kind of strange. It was almost like it still kind of had a pay-per-view feel to it in the sense that you knew what all the matches were. There wasn't really, there wasn't really that entrance music that hit that you were like, oh, like kind of unexpected. You were like, oh, it's time for that match. So I thought super, super solid. Um, yeah, we can definitely get into it. There's uh, pros and cons, or some good things, some bad things. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was far and away better than any Monday Night Raw of the last 3 years, if you want to compare it to something. So
agreed. Yeah, I definitely can agree with that. But we'll go ahead and get into it, man. We'll run down the card. So first of all, dude, as soon as they went live, like the crowd was fucking alive. They would die at certain points later on, but like the first reaction, like, "Hey, I get to be part of this," was fucking phenomenal. Um,
yeah,
it helped definitely helped get the viewer hyped. Like, hey, they're excited. You should be fucking excited too. Dude, opening match, Cody and Sammy. I think that's a really good call because you have a guy who is fairly well known because of
yeah,
his time in WWE, because of his time around the world. I mean, he was even on Impact for a while. And then, of course, you have Sammy, who great wrestler, but not as known, especially in the states. Over in Mexico, he's probably got a decent amount of clout because of his work with AAA. But here, not really a whole lot to go off of yet. So I thought that was a really
yeah,
good call. Um, and then they likened it to Liger versus Brian Pillman as
yeah.
one of the first matches on another show. When back when they first started airing on TNT as WCW. So I thought that was really cool as well. Um,
I thought I definitely Heather was watching it with me, and I said to her, this is kind of the perfect first match. It's kind of the epitome of what AEW I think is going for because it's when are you ever going to have an opening match on a WWE product that is an unknown, like Sammy Guevara is. So I thought that was really a good way to kind of establish this is what we're going to do. We're not going to bury our young talent. We're going to take these people that you haven't heard of and we're going to try to elevate them so that you know who they are. We're not going to only worry about bringing in part timers and people that you've heard of. We're going to actually try to build the credibility of these new people. And I thought that was a really good way to start it. And I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that are turned off by that. They're going to say, "Who the hell is this? Why am I watching this?" But I think that I mean, I think in general, I think there'll be a good number of fans that are eager to see new faces. Hopefully,
Yeah.
that's my hope at least.
And they have a very unique opportunity of seeing these guys grow into stars. It's not like WWE where it's an established thing where they're just using the same five guys over and over. You
Yeah.
have you do have these new guys who are coming in. And one thing I liked about this match is uh, Cody clearly had the crowd on his side, which fine, that was understood going into it. There was no question about that. But there was a lot of really good work on commentary, which, side note, thank fucking God that Tony Schiavone has replaced Alex
I
Marvez on commentary.
I was disappointed when I saw that it wasn't Alex Marvez. I almost turned it off, but I was like, I'll
Yeah.
stick with it. Whoever this Tony Schiavone guy is, I'll give him a shot.
Yeah.
He's no Alex
He's
Marvez,
he's
but
a rookie, but we'll see how he does.
yeah,
But Sammy got in really good offense. And not only that, there were times when he was making Cody look kind of stupid. Like he had like for instance the moonsault thing where he caught himself, did another moonsault, caught himself again, and then did the running shooting star. I thought that was a really cool spot that made him look good. Cody did like the springboard stunner to him, so he flipped over the
yeah.
rope and hit him with a cutter as well.
It looked better. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
I thought that was really cool. But that was sort of the theme of the match is like Cody's clearly going to win this, but given the right opportunity, Sammy could beat him. And I thought that was a really good story to tell.
I liked. There wasn't really anything in this match that I didn't like. You had the. I like the the typical Brandy moment, getting her involved. I think that's. I think a lot of people will come to. There's a lot of us who've been following Cody and everything, right? So we already know Brandy's probably one of the best managers in wrestling right now. So I
So
think that
true.
kind of getting that early dose of that to see like she knows when to pick her spots. And man, I didn't. There wasn't really anything out of this match that I didn't enjoy. I mean, I love the. How about the Spanish fly off the top rope that was more like
Awesome.
a side, it was like a side suplex. It like
Yeah,
rotated in the air.
yeah. It looked like Cody was unsure
Uh,
about doing like the flip bump, so he just sort of
yeah,
like did like a side bump instead. It was kind of weird. Like he was getting arm dragged off the top instead. Um,
yeah, and then Guevara selling the disaster kick. That was oh
oh
my
my
god.
god, dude! Yeah, that I have. So I have both of those things in my notes: the Spanish fly and the disaster kick. The disaster kick was insane. Like that is the best looking sell that I've ever seen for that move, and he's been doing it for years. So for
Yeah.
Sammy to come in there on the first episode and just knock it out of the park, killer. The only thing I didn't like about the match is I didn't like that Brandy was in the spot where she got hit by the dive. I didn't like how long she stood there. Like
Yeah.
it was very clear, hey, I'm about to get hit by this dive.
Yeah.
Um, I think she could have come in a little bit later and it would have been so much better. But that's a little nitpicky thing.
I agree. And I one another thing I liked was you know, you had the disaster kick, and I look over at Heather and I say, "Well, he's gonna kick out because we're gonna hit the crossroads." I like that I was wrong about that. I like that we didn't hit the crossroads on Guevara because um, they went with a more they booked him a little bit stronger in the finish. I like that. I like that he lost in a roll up because it's not an outright, he took he just ate the finish and ate the pin. Like I was happy that they kept him a little bit booked him a little bit stronger there at the end. So
Yeah.
that going forward, he didn't already have his first match, him just eat someone's finisher,
Yeah,
that that was
I did
that's
like
how I
that
felt
as
about it.
well. It was a clean win, but it wasn't like a decisive win. And
Exactly.
I thought that was really nice. And of course, Cody rolls him up and gets the win. Afterward, one thing I thought was a nice touch is like Cody sheds like a single tear when he hugs Tony in the ring, and then he's like, "Let's get to work." Like, hey man, quit messing around. He shakes hands with Sammy, and then of course we get the attack by Jericho. I sort of like the foreshadowing here, where Sammy like he doesn't like jump in with Jericho, but he's also
Yeah.
clearly not trying to help Cody and just gets out of the
Yeah.
ring. A nice call by Tony on that. Sammy's clearly trying to get out of the way. And then, of course, we get a long beatdown on Cody Rhodes. It goes through the commercial break. They do the picture-in-picture. It's the only non-match picture-in-picture commercial break that we get the entire night. And the whole time, Jericho's just whooping Cody's ass. By the end of the commercial,
Yep.
he grabs a chair, smashes his arm on the what do they call it? Like the podium, I guess. It's like the timekeeper's
Yep.
podium. Um, and then, of course, set up two chairs and power bombed him onto him.
There was there was only one thing I didn't like out of this that I had made the note of. Is uh he didn't grab the belt.
Yeah,
I thought that was a little weird because you go back to the top of the ramp, you're kind of celebrating. You got the commentary saying, "That's our AEW champion," but you don't have your belt. You left
well,
your belt down there. Somebody has to grab that belt at the very least and get it to Jericho.
like 3 times he left it too, because he kept teasing that he was gonna leave before the commercial,
Yeah,
and both times he did that, he also did not grab the belt, and that I think that's a good call out. Yeah, like I get why
that's
he
like
didn't because, he's just gonna set it down again. But I think I would rather
yeah,
him just set it down again instead of
yeah,
saying, "Hey, I just forget the belt everywhere," just like in my limo outside of the Longhorn Steakhouse.
exactly. That's yeah, and there was something recently that I watched. I don't remember what it was. It might I think it was probably New Japan or something. But there was kind of that situation where the focus wasn't on I don't think it was Naito because that would be too obvious. But it was somebody that kind of left the belt and there was a concerted effort like, hey, go grab the belt, get it back to them so that they can kind of walk off with that. I think that just leaves a better image, kind of a lasting image. But
Yeah,
if that's the only thing we're picking out of that, I mean, that's not too much of an issue, really.
yeah, definitely. Um, so after the commercial break comes back, we get the end of the beatdown. And then music starts playing. And I'll be honest, I thought we were gonna get a debut because I didn't know what Brandon Cutler's fucking music sounded like. Uh, and like the dragon
100,
shows up,
yeah,
and I was like, "Who the fuck is this?" I forgot. Like,
yep.
he's like a Dungeons and Dragons. That's his gimmick.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought that it was like some new Viking person. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
yeah,
Who is this this
the only
Viking warrior? Oh, it's
the only
Brandon
one that
Cutler.
came to mind is I was like, "Is this like the new Dark Order Titantron?" Like, it's the only thing I can think with like the dragons and breathing fire. But um,
Yeah,
cool. I will say his ring gear looked cool. Brandon
yeah,
Cutler does not
absolutely.
have like a great appearance, um, but I guess he's a. I mean, I guess he's a good wrestler. He got in there with MJF and he fucking did the
Yeah,
job. So I'm cool with it. He took the L and he made MJF look great doing it. So I'm cool
yeah.
with that, man.
This was this was odd for me. I think this is where my first inkling of problems start. MJF's I wanted him to cut a promo, of course, and he did. His promo felt weird. It felt off. It felt to me, and again, this, as a spectator, completely reading into it, it seemed like he was nervous. Which I mean, God,
I'm sure
who
he's
would?
never had this kind of stage before.
Yeah, and who wouldn't be? But at the same time, I'm just not used to seeing MJF nervous. So it seemed like his promo was it wasn't bad. It was just very cut and dry. It was, you're a loser, y'all are losers. There weren't those witty jabs that he usually throws out there,
Yeah,
and I'm interested to see if he's able to, working within the TV 14 rating, if he's still able to get the same kind of bite
yeah.
to
I
his
mean,
promo.
he can't just like flip everybody off all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
So that was kind of, he comes down, and then the match was just, it was what it was. Like you said, it was Cutler doing the job, but um there was the weird, is he really hurt? Is he not hurt with Cutler? That kind of felt weird for me. It
oh yeah,
seemed like
the
when
the leg
he,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, it seemed weird for him to sell his own injury like with nothing happening. I definitely
Because
think
we
that you
did,
could have stumbled like not on the turnbuckle because it made it look like you just fucked up being a wrestler instead of being hurt in the
yeah.
match.
That's it, exactly, and that's what I thought. And then we'll call it a knee or an ankle, whatever it would have been presumed, didn't factor into the finish. So that also felt weird for me. He loses to an armbar, right? So you're thinking, well, you hurt your leg. We don't target your leg. We hit a forearm and then go for an arm bar. So it
Yeah.
felt kind of weird. Um,
Yeah, that's
not a bad match. It kind of was what it was.
it did what it needed to do for MJF, and I appreciate that. So I've got some notes here. So he cut the promo. The promo was kind of I won't say it was bad, but it was standard. It was all of his
Yeah,
normal lines with nothing added to really get that good heat.
yeah.
One thing that I think did get some good heat is he pulled the gum out of his mouth and threw it in the crowd. If I was there personally, that shit grosses me out. I would be very upset. So I think that was a nice touch. I have a couple quotes here from good old MJF. Dungeons and Dragons might not be real, but you know what is real? The fact that I'm better than you and you know it. And then during the match, he's holding Brandon Cutler against the rope, and he says, "Look at the camera and tell your kids you're a bum." And I thought that was a really fucking nice touch too. Um, I will give
I
credit.
didn't I like that.
I will give credit where credit is due. There was a really nice spot by Brandon Cutler. He did the suicide dive, but the way he landed, it was like he did a Luthez press through the ropes, because as soon as he landed, he was already mounted and punching. And I thought that was really awesome. That was like if Stone Cold was also agile. So
Yeah.
I thought that was super cool.
I
Um,
think I think Cutler's a lot more athletic than people know. I've seen just particular some of the stuff on Twitter from some of the last indie shows he did. I think that he's definitely, this isn't his time to shine right now against MJF in the very first show, but I definitely think he's going to carve out a nice little spot, maybe in the lower to mid card area. And I think he really does. I think he's going to do some things that are going to turn some people's heads,
Definitely.
personally.
I think, and I hope they go with this. I think right now Brandon Cutler is playing the good guy that is so good that he loses because he's unwilling to bend the rules. What I want to see is him sort of get more of an edge and um, stop being seen as like the family man. He can still be a good guy. That's fine. That's where he belongs.
Yeah.
But right now he's almost got a halo on his head. Like people just want to see him get beat up whether they know it or not.
Yeah.
And I think he's got to step away from that. Otherwise, it's gonna hurt him in the long run. Um,
I think so. I think one thing that may or may not work, but they can always have in their back pocket that's kind of neat. I just thought of this is if you ever have a heel turn for him on the Young Bucks, that would actually be. I think there's something there. The fact that just
True, and they
kind
make
of,
sure to bring up that he was buddies. Like he started with the Bucks.
yeah. So I think if you ever wanted to have a heel turn of, I can do it on my own. I don't need you guys. Y'all think that I have to rely on you for everything. I'm my own person. Even if it's him with somebody to set up a tag team run or tag team feud against them, that might be something I keep an eye on. Just at a because right now, like they said, basically he owes everything to the Young Bucks. So maybe one day he decides, hey, yeah, I appreciate what you did, but I'm my own man and I can prove it, and this is how I'm going to do it. So
And what would be really funny is if they did that. Then on BTE, they could do a running gag where he's begrudgingly editing their videos still because he fucking works for them.
just like
Oh
doing
man.
this, just like sons of bitches.
Yeah, he's just
People,
like segments are
this is so
stupid. He's just getting so pissed while he's cutting all of it together to make a great episode of BTE. I think that would be really funny. I kind of hope we get to see that. Um, Moving on here, next segment was kind of weird. We cut to Chris Van Vliet, which I think it's awesome that Chris Van Vliet is an interviewer for AEW. One of my favorite pro wrestling interviewers already. So the fact that he's a part of this company is really cool. But unfortunately for this segment, he's interviewing Kevin Smith, Jason Mewes, which on its own wouldn't be bad. I like the fact that they plugged that Jericho's in the movie and he's playing a bad guy. And Kevin Smith even says, "Forget about my movie. Let's talk about being here at AEW tonight," and gets a cheap pop from the fans. Um, but after that, things just get weird. Like Jack Evans and Angelico show up. They make a reference to a Jay and Silent Bob movie that was made when I was in middle school. Uh, so I mean, not terribly
because
relevant anymore.
that's when Jack Evans started wrestling.
Yeah, that's true. That's back when he was doing flips off of cages in Ring of Honor. But like, so he made the Morris Day and the Times reference, which I got, but I also was a huge like fan of Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back when I was that young because I couldn't watch those things. I wasn't allowed. So the fact that I did was like, of course, it was great to me. I also really liked the original Scary Movie, which is not a terribly good movie. It's just a lot of shit that I wasn't allowed to watch, and I did anyway. Um,
Yeah.
so we get them, and then of course some weird shit with Private Party. And the thing that weirds me, that really like confused me about Private Party, is they show up, and it's almost like normally Private Party has their bouncer, but it almost looked like the bouncer was making Private Party go away. Did you notice
That
that, or is that just me?
yeah, that no, I so here's you're exactly right. Spot on. Here's what I thought happened. So the segment was trash, first of all, because it was that they basically should have shown them, panned to them and said, new movie coming out, blah blah blah. Let's be honest, that's what y'all wanted.
Yeah.
Anyways, so then the two worst tag team wrestlers in the world come out, Angelico and Helico, whatever the fuck his name is, and Jack Evans. They come out, and I'm like, all right, well, now I'm gonna turn the TV off. So, and then you're exactly right, because then Private Party came out, and what I swear to God, what I thought happened was that Kevin Smith's security came over and stopped them from coming over to where they were. Like almost like they weren't in on it, which I know is not the case.
Yeah,
But
surely not.
it felt like they were literally like, what are y'all why are y'all coming up and handing stuff to the just get out of here? And Twitter picked this up. I don't know if you saw Twitter say it. They were picking up on how bad that whole everything about that was. They said immediately afterwards, I tried to run it back, but I couldn't do it on YouTube TV. Um, they apparently did like an aerial view, and they panned to a row of seats that was completely empty. They said like 15 or 20 empty seats. And
Oh,
and
wow.
then it just kind of like encapsulated the terribleness of every and so Twitter, of course, jumps on it and says, you know, that was shit. Look, they didn't really sell out. This is just scalpers bought all the tickets. You know, they're trying to pile on. And I'm like, what a just weird, choppy, awful, unnecessary segment.
Yeah, it was very awkward. They did save it because Tony was like, "Hey, now let's go to this video package." We get a cool SCU video package where
Yep.
Scorpio Sky is doing a really good Barack Obama impression.
Yeah.
I want to say that I've seen this before, but like it still caught me off guard. I have what I refer to as sick brain. I have like really bad. I don't know if it's like a cold or the flu or whatever. I'm actually doped up on meds right now to do this this recording. Um, but so when he did it, I like my eyes got wide. I was like, holy shit! Like that's a really good Obama impression. So they had a really cool like presidential promo about SEU. The
Mhm.
thing that was weird though was the fact that they literally, as soon as the video ended, they go from a promo video for SCU to a live interview with SCU, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
all right, this seems like maybe it's overkill. Um, but overall, I don't know. I think the promo was good. I think it did well. And then of course it answered the question they've been putting out on BTE, like who's going to wrestle in the tournament.
Yeah.
And I think Kaz and Daniels wrestling as SCU is a awesome choice.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Uh, that segment was like you said, it was a little jarring to have. You kind of think they're gonna do the tape, the taped promo, whatever it is, and then come back to a live match. But they kind of they came back to them being there in person, and then the Lucha Bros come out, and it felt to me this was kind of one of my issues with the show, I guess overall. Not a bad thing, and I definitely understand why, but it was like they were trying to cram too much in.
Yeah,
They were trying to feature everybody. Uh, Kind of the way that NXT, their first show, they did the backstage brawl where everybody brawled to the main entrance. It's like I get it. You want to feature as many people as you can, but it to me, if if you're not featuring them in a sense that introduces them or does anything for the audience other than make the audience go, "What the hell was that?" Then I don't really see a need to do that at that point. Like I want them to get, like you said, you said on Twitter, um, give them, or I saw you agree with something somebody said, is give them a full video introduction, or
Yes.
do something like that rather than just be like, oh, Jack Evans is here. Because otherwise, the casual viewer that doesn't watch BT or hasn't watched the pay-per-views, they don't know what that is. That's just a guy that just showed up. They don't know why they're there. Like, I
Yeah.
guarantee the casual viewer did not know what private party, what why are these random guys walking in the crowd? You
I
know.
I agree with that. And honestly, the recommendation that I read said cutting a couple minutes off of some of the matches. I think we could have just done away with the SCU video promo because
Mhm.
the interview they did essentially did the same thing, put them over as a great tag team. We found out who was wrestling for the trio in the tournament, and then we still got it led to the altercation with Lucha Bros. So I think
Yeah.
that delivered everything they wanted to get across with those. It The video package was cool, um, but it was not necessary in the grand scheme of things. So I think you could have taken that time. You could have easily introduced, put together short video packages. Hey, this is Jack Evans and Angelico so far for the performances they've had in our pay per views. This is Private
Yeah.
Party. Show them doing the fucking gin and juice, dude, because the shit is such a good finisher.
Yeah.
Show them doing that and be like, hey, they're making their way into the tournament. Um, and then show SCU, show even Lucha Bros. I hate to say that, but like they were in Lucha Underground, they were in Impact. But for people who are strictly WWE looking
Yep.
into this product, they don't know who the Lucha Bros are.
Yep.
So
Did
give
they
them a promo
even
package.
did did they say when they came out? Did anybody call it out? Did they say it's the Lucha Bros?
Yeah, yeah, they called
Okay.
it out. It wasn't immediate, but they did say the Lucha Bros like while they were out there talking about who they are. Um,
Yeah, it's like I told you. I can't believe I'm saying it, but it really did. There was too much wrestling. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but I think even if you have one less match, and say you save Pac and Hangman, which was an awesome match. Say you save that for next week's main event, then I think you take that time and you're able to more, disperse more promo packages. You're just able to have more time to work with. I think that the more that you have run shows like this, the more you have that allotted time for the matches only.
yeah.
You're only gonna. So I think that was one thing where I wish there would have been more time to introduce and establish some of the characters, and I hope that's what they do going forward.
Yeah, I
Um,
honestly, there's a lot of feedback on the internet. I think we'll get some kind of video packages later on. Sorry, my dog's jumping up on me.
no, you
I think we will get video packages, um, because they do have so many new wrestlers. Even MJF. MJF made a good name for himself in MLW, but other than that, he's not been anywhere. Um,
yeah.
you have to you have to introduce these people. You can't just assume everybody's seen BTE. And this is a tweet that I sent out. In response to the 30-second intro thing. Not everybody has watched BTE. Not everybody has watched the Road 2 series. And even once AEW picks up, there are going to be people who never do because they
Yep.
just don't want to. You should not rely on that for your storylines because it's too segregated from your main product. You have to push your
Mhm.
storylines on TV, otherwise, people are going to be left in the dark and they're going to tune out.
I agree.
Um, But cool. Moving on. We get a weird backstage package where they say they're eavesdropping on Jericho and LAX, and then literally nothing gets said, and not only does nothing get said, but JR calls out the fact that nothing of importance was said.
Yeah.
Uh, and then we cut over to Hangman and Pac. I honestly thought this was going to be match of the night, and it definitely could have been. Um, had we not had the match after it. Um, but Heyman came out, great reaction. Uh, Pac surprisingly didn't get as good a reaction when he was coming out. Um, it was there, but really once he got to the ring is where he got a reaction. When his music hit, there wasn't really a pop there like I thought there would be, and that kind of surprised me. Um,
I I I want to pick up on something because I think you said it perfectly, and I think this is where I had a small, like a little tinge, uh, a little fear, or a moment of kind of, is this gonna be a is this crowd a Bullet Club crowd? Is this
Oh,
crowd an elite crowd? I started to think, um, you know, we're getting all these react. We got the massive reaction for Cody. We got a big pop for Hangman. But at the same time, not much of a reaction to Pac. And maybe I'm reading too much into it. I definitely feel like I am. It's the first show, but it was like, is this is this a crowd that's here to see 4 or 5 people? Like when you and I went to Supercard of
yeah,
Honor, and
nothing
it
but
was
Bullet Club shirts, dude.
nothing but Bullet Club.
Ourselves
That
included.
exactly. Exactly. So here's the thing, and here's what I thought. I thought of that. That was the very first thing I thought of, and I was like, "That's cool, and it works, but it's not sustainable."
Yeah, it at least
That
works to
was
get people there though. And I think as
yeah,
long as they keep building, that'll be fine. They can start off as an elite crowd. They're gonna come around to everybody else. I'm sure by the end of this, I mean, we heard it. Halfway through the match, we did have dueling "Let's go Hangman, let's go Pac" chants.
yeah.
Because the dude is fucking impressive. One nice thing that I did like from commentary is when Pac was at the top of the stage, he's fucking just brooding, doing his thing, hair's tangling in front of his face. JR and Tony, the whole time he's walking to the ring, we're just talking about how, like, his appearance is a psychological advantage because he does look so intimidating, and I
Mhm.
really like that note. Like, not only can he wrestle, but he scares the shit out of people before he even gets in the ring, and that is an advantage to him as a wrestler. So I don't know,
Absolutely.
dude, thank God for Tony. Fucking Alex Marvez can go on, do backstage interviews, whatever he wants to do, but thank God for Tony at the commentary booth making this shit make sense.
Yeah. I definitely I have my hot take here is that so far Pac is far and away over these last 2 shows at least. He's actually probably my favorite wrestler on the roster right now. I'm so impressed. Both of his finishes I've been just very impressed with. I love the way that they're booking him as a top heel because
Definitely.
uh we've seen, I mean, we've already seen that there are companies out there, you know, who we won't get into, but that would never, ever even think about using him in this capacity. To even maybe slightly even entertain the idea of putting him not only in not a heavyweight championship match, but not even an intercontinental match.
Yeah.
You know, we're putting him in a feud with Enzo Amore. So the fact that you have him now where he can actively, I believe that he could take on anybody on the roster and win. I think that's fantastic. And I'm super buying into it as him as just a total badass that you not want to run up against at this point.
Yeah. Honestly, I think Pac has had the best booking in the company so far, which is crazy to say because this is his second appearance. But he does have the intimidating look that they keep pushing so hard. Um, but he also you mentioned the two finishers. The two finishers on their own are great, but I love the fact that one seamlessly flows into the other one. And I think that's fucking phenomenal. So there's literally the way he should be booked from here on out. He should never do one without the other. If you can hit both back to back, it's basically guaranteeing you victory. So just do
Hmm.
that. Hit the back and then torque the back with the submission and let them tap out. I do hope we get better camera angles so we can actually see the tap out because we didn't see Adam Page tap shit. So that was kind of a
Yeah,
bummer.
I thought the ref stopped it. That's what I thought because I didn't see a tap
I
either.
mean, maybe there was, but the thing is he's holding his arm like behind his back the way that it's positioned. So even if he did tap with that
Yeah,
arm, you would never see it.
yeah.
And I had another point here. What was it? Shit. There's the um, Pac isn't like a full heel, and he's not. He's certainly not a face. He's like the perfect tweener. So not only can you see him go against guys like Kenny Omega and Adam Page, but if he were to go against Chris Jericho, it's not an issue at all. This isn't a heel versus heel match. This is Pac beating the shit out of the next guy he wants to beat the shit out of. And that's totally fine. I love that about him. And that's the main reason I think that he has better booking than anybody else, because he's not restricted by like a face heel stereotype. He can easily be both at any given time. Man,
I agree. Absolutely.
But yeah, so one more shout out I want to give to this match, and you actually brought this up, and I wrote it down because I thought it was a really good call out. Adam Page busting out all kinds of new moves in this match. I thought that was really cool because it's almost like he's bringing his A game to this match, which makes the win for Pac it makes it that much more impressive because, you know, he's busting out all these new moves. He did a fucking Nando kick to Pac in the corner.
Running drop kick.
Yeah, the running drop kick. He did it was like a fall away slam. He turned into like a cutter. I don't know what the hell that was called, but I hope he does it because it looked awesome. But yeah, so they definitely stepped it up for the match. Regardless of who won, I think this match would be just as good if Adam Page was the winner. But I'm totally cool with Pac winning.
And I could see them. I could see them as well. I could see them running this one back at Full Gear, you know, and giving it a 10 more minutes or something, you know, which I would be 100% down for.
I would be very cool with that. I kind of hope that's the direction they go in. Cool. So next up on the list, Nyla Rose versus Riho. I'll be totally honest, man. I did not think this match was going to be that great, just because of the massive size difference. It's not just a normal like WWE style size difference like David and Goliath story. I did not think that this massive woman and then this like probably the smallest female wrestler that's ever been on TV. We're gonna have this incredible match, but holy shit, like, Britt Baker came out for commentary, and I think she definitely helped put it over. I like the commentary that she put forward. Hold on a second. God damn it. Fuck. Go away. Oh my goodness. Hold on. What are you doing? Shut up. Shut up. Stop it. Man, they're getting antsy because it's real soon for them to hold on. Come on. Go. Get away from me. God damn it. Sorry. But Britt Baker did a really good job on commentary. She kept talking about how, like, oh, you know, it should have been me in the match, but she didn't let that, like, bring down the things she had to say about the match that was going on. Even at the end, when it was done, you know, she still made sure to get in the fact that she wanted to be in the ring with the champion next, but that the match was impressive. So I thought that helped a lot. Really nice, like, back and forth between the two. Also, during ring introductions, both of them got, like, huge pops, which I thought was really cool. People wanted to see this match, and that's not something we're used to as an American audience with female wrestling. We got the cool, like, escape from Riho. I think, I can't remember if it was a pin that she escaped from, but she basically, like, slid out from under it and then raised up, because she's, like, 95 pounds and incredibly agile. But then at the same time, she tried to follow it up with a move where she ran over Nyla Rose's back, and Nyla Rose just straight up did a push-up with that bitch on her back, and that was just as impressive. Man, super cool. Nyla catching Riho from the top rope was also really impressive looking. Dude, when the commercial break happened, where they did the picture-in-picture, I honestly tuned out for a minute. I thought it was a commercial because I started hearing the commercial, and as soon as I hear it, my mind is like, okay, this is a commercial. You're not seeing any wrestling. So I looked away for a few minutes. I'll be totally honest. And when it came back, I was like, well, shit, I kind of care less about this match. But as soon as it came back, it was more back and forth, and I was right back in it. They did a really good job, and there's no way they could have known. They're in the ring. They couldn't possibly have known, like, hey, this is where the commercial break is. Do more cool shit as soon as this is up. But damn, if it wasn't wonderfully timed. There was a weird spot with Riho. She tried to she was in a powerbomb position. She tried to flip Nyla over and collapsed.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was supposed to happen or if it was a botch, but it made for a very awkward moment.
I feel like it was a botch. I'm not sure why they would have tried it in the first place unless they were sure she could do it. But it looked like she went to flip her over and she could not lift her at all. But like you said, I mean, it was great back and forth. It actually pulled me in. Like you said, again, I wasn't really expecting to be invested in it, but I definitely was, and the crowd was. I mean, the crowd was behind it. The crowd was,
the crowd was super into it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But it ended up being a pretty nice little match. I feel like there was something I was gonna. I think that was it. I think it was gonna be the fact that they had that kind of that one spot. One thing that I thought was funny is when Rio is anytime she strikes, I was texting my buddy or Daryl, and I was like, it has to feel like somebody's just hitting you with a pool noodle, right? Like
a hammer, but a toy hammer.
Yeah, like it can't be like it can't be bad at all taking strikes from a 95-pound person, but
it's like this hurts, but this doesn't hurt,
yeah. This is more annoying than it is painful.
Yeah, like, oh, get the fly away from me, get out of here. Last thing I have on this match, really, really nice sequence of near falls at the end, which fucking pulled me in even more than I was already. Like, I was already waiting to see who was going to win this match, but the sequence of near falls, I was on the edge of my seat because we had Rio with a really close pinfall. I did not write down what caused the pinfall, but then right out of it, Nyla Rose hit the Death Valley Driver, which looked so good, and I was like, she killed her. That's it, dude. Like, Nyla's the champ. And then she kicks out at 2, and JR with the great comment, hey, that would have been it if she had covered her right shoulder also. She effortlessly raised her right shoulder because there was no pressure there. And, dude, this commentary team is everything for this. They had so many good calls tonight, and only a couple of really awkward ones. And then, so after she kicks out, they go to the top, and Riho does the Avalanche Northern Lights suplex. I saw that, and I was like, okay, well, this is it. This is where the match ends. That's cool.
Yeah.
And, of course, she kicks out again, and I'm like, oh, my fucking God. What is going to happen? And then Riho follows it up with the double knees. And, man, pro wrestling these days loves their knee strikes. I don't know what it is about it, man, but, it's all these, MMA-style finishes. I get it. Some of them I don't think should get a pinfall in wrestling, but that's my personal opinion. But looked good nonetheless. Riho's the first women's champion for AEW.
Yep.
Afterward, we get we thought we were gonna get a Japanese interview with Michael Nakazawa, but Nyla comes in and just destroys the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Almost killed him, dude. That powerbomb saw it was so sketchy. Thank God he caught himself and she stopped. Because she would have hardcore hollied his ass on the first episode of AEW Dynamite. Oh man, just we almost saw a broken neck on the first episode of AEW Dynamite. So I'm really glad we didn't. The second powerbomb looked impressive. In fact, I think it looked more impressive in the fact that she lifted him all the way back up and then did the actual powerbomb.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Kenny comes out with a save. I have in the notes, Kenny only came out for the save because he was wearing the one professional or the one championship MMA shirt. This is the commercials we were getting the entire time that AEW was running. They clearly told him to put that shirt on before he went out there.
I I never like somebody at any point in the show. It's one of my pet peeves. I don't like someone coming out when they have a match later in the night. I didn't
Y-
like I I didn't really like Jericho's attack on Cody at the start for the same reason. I mean, that I give a pass. I get it for stuff like that, but just in general, if you're going to be on the show, I don't want to see you come out multiple times.
Well,
Personally,
the weird thing about his is his match was next. He
exactly.
literally came out, stopped it, walked back just to do his entrance.
Yep. Take your
Like,
shirt off and put on a vest. Yep.
yeah, what? Why? Why do that? It just seems so odd, man. I'm glad you called that out because I also thought that was so strange. Like the Jericho thing, at least it was leading to something. I'm cool with it if it has some kind of payoff.
Yeah.
But literally, anyone could have come out. Britt Baker could have come and stopped her. Britt Baker was at commentary.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe if they would have done that, then we could have stopped having those close-ups on Britt Baker's face where she was just
Yeah, staring at the
staring.
monitor, so she was like
What?
looking down.
Yeah, like they did like 3 or 4 of those. So someone needs to make a note of that. But could it potentially be the reason why Kenny came out and did that is because even though he was in the six-man tag, which we're about to get into, he wasn't actually wrestling at all. He was
Yeah,
just there.
yeah, so that's a good transition. I like that. This is where the show lost me. Next up, we get Kenny and the Bucks versus Jericho and LAX. Um, the Elite comes out to the BTE theme song. Crowd's chanting. I popped for it. I thought it was a really, really good thing to do for the first episode. Honestly, if they do that every time they wrestle as a trio, even if it's Cody or Hangman, any of three or more of the elite group come out, I think that would be a really great theme song for them to use. Um, and I've got more thoughts on that, but it ties into what we'll talk about at the end, so I don't want to go too far into that yet. Um, I've got here, and I'm gonna always write this because I said it for all the other pay per views we've reviewed. Jericho's theme song is so fucking good, dude. It's one of the best in wrestling right now. I love it. As soon as it goes off, it starts off so hard and gets you pumped, and then gets so quiet, so you have no choice but to sit and listen and pay attention. And I think that's
Mhm.
such a perfect thing. It reminds me of, and I don't know if you've ever seen this, the Jake the Snake promo, where Jake stares at the camera and he's mouthing words, but he's not actually saying anything. Because back in the day when that happened, people like grabbed their remotes and were trying to turn the TV up because they thought there was something wrong with the volume. And then at the end of the promo, he says, "You see that? I got your attention. I didn't have to say anything at all," and then walks away. Um, so that's what his theme song reminds me of, like the way that the volume goes. I think it has to be intentional. He's too smart for it not to be intentional. But I really really like every single time I know that it's for that and it still works. I love it.
I think I was actually, and I was just telling somebody about that the other day. Is not it is, I think, one of the best, far and away one of the best entrance songs, and for it to be your song, the song you created, the song you have full control over, the song you can do anything with. What a fucking awesome feeling!
Yeah, anywhere in the world
Like
you can use that song. That's yours.
that's awesome to me. But yeah, that definitely that pulls me in every time. That's one of my favorite themes.
So good, dude. Him and Cody, like probably two of the top. Um, I'd say Undisputed Era is up there as well, but they're probably top three in my book.
Yeah,
Alistair Black being up there as well.
yeah.
Man, but yeah, so it got off, or it went off. I got pumped. Um, I really liked the start of the match. Jericho playing the perfect villain. He elects to start off the match against Kenny, which I was like, wow, they're gonna do this right now. That's awesome. And then of course Jericho being Jericho. As soon as the bell rings, he looks like he's going to square off, turns around, attacks Santana. Love it. Absolutely love it. Gets out of the ring with a smile on his face. Just huge asshole. So good, man. Um, and then literally as soon as Santana comes in, Kenny gets ready to square up. Terminator claps start. Like Kenny is over in a big way, even with his losing streak in AEW, which I think says a lot for his star power. I don't think they realized how well he was going to translate into American homes, being a New Japan wrestler. But you got to think about how fast New Japan shows were selling out when Kenny and the Bucks were part of New Japan.
Yeah.
They were coming over here, and when Bullet Club was them, like they were selling out so quick. So, of course, it's going to do the exact same thing with these guys on American television. But it's nice to see. Man, this is like the good parts of the match. I'm trying to like slow it down a little bit and savor it because it's downhill from here.
Yeah, I mean, so you had the typical beats, of the normal Kenny matches. The Katara Crusher looks good. Santana and Ortiz, I'm so pumped to see everything. See, I haven't seen much of them. We saw them when we went to see the Impact show.
Homecoming, yeah.
Homecoming. I'm very excited. I even had this feeling there for a minute that, and I guess technically it could still happen, but that Santana and Ortiz, correct me if I'm wrong, they're not in the tag tournament, right?
They are not. And I think the only reason being is that the brackets were decided before they got there.
I had this feeling though that we just because it wouldn't, they really don't stand to gain anything from it. Um, the Young Bucks actually getting jumped, beaten down, whatever it may be, and Santana and Ortiz taking their spot in the tournament.
Oh.
Um, and I thought, that idea just kind of came to mind, which you probably can't do because you need the Bucks star power for the tournament. But it's a cool idea, I think.
I think they'll definitely cost the Bucks the titles. I think it would be almost a power trip to put the titles on the Bucks right off the bat.
Yeah.
But I think the reason the Bucks will get kicked out of the tournament is because they'll lose because of Santana and Ortiz. Because as we've seen tonight, I guess DQs just aren't a fucking thing. You just do whatever you want. Nyla grabbed a chair and she did not give a shit. For the first ever women's title, Nyla grabbed a chair. So, I don't think DQs are a thing in AEW.
Yeah, I don't. I didn't understand what was happening. Is that our transition for what happened?
Yeah, that's about as good a segue as we're gonna get. So a small note I do want to add before we go into the what the fuck part of it. Kenny teases the Rise of the Terminator, and the fucking Terminator chants were so loud. But then, of course, you hear the crowd react, and you know exactly what's happening before it happens. Jon Moxley slides into the ring, and we get this like long stare down, which it sort of felt like it went on longer than it was supposed to. Kenny was like playing it off like he knew there was someone behind him, but for some reason he just didn't want to turn around.
Yeah, that you're exactly right. He did something that they do in like comedies, like the comedies, maybe even the old type of comedies, like Abbott and Costello, when there's a scary monster behind you, and you're breaking the fourth wall, like you don't want to turn around because the monster's behind you, and you know it. Like it went on for too long. You're exactly right, because it was just awkward. It was awkward at that point because I wanted to laugh. Like,
yeah, that was
I thought Kenny was gonna go. He's right behind me, isn't he?
Yeah, that's a Santino Marella spot. That's those kind of people. That's something they would have had like Adam Rose do when he was still with the Rosebuds. I'm trying to think of somebody now. No Way Jose. That's a No Way Jose spot. Someone who is not by any means taken seriously. That is not a Kenny Omega spot. It just seemed goofy. I totally agree. But then go for it, man. I can't even say it. I can't even.
I mean, there wasn't a DQ. Everything was fine. You can interfere in matches.
Nothing was fine. What the fuck happened with this, man? Moxley's just playing in the side of the ref, beating the shit out of Kenny Omega. No bell ringing whatsoever. And the thing is, like, the referee was looking, and he looked like he was wanting to disqualify them, but he just never did the motion to ring the bell, and it just kept going. And I'm just like, what is happening? Is he waiting to see if John Moxley just goes away and then Kenny can get back in?
Yeah.
I mean, the beatdown angle was really cool. Kenny doing the cleaner thing with the mop, I thought was a really nice homage to his past persona. And then the dirty deeds through the glass table. Holy shit, dude. Kenny sold that like $1 million. He spiked his own body into a glass coffee table. Dope, man. You would have to pay me a lot more than what he's getting paid probably just for that one spot. That looks so scary.
I thought Kenny looked better this time than he did in the brawl with Moxley at
with like the weapons and stuff, dude. It looks so hokey.
But at the same time, I'm like, they're trying to cut back and forth from that to the ring, and I guess then eventually they're just like, well, stuff's happening in the ring, but we're gonna show you this backstage brawl, you know. And it's just like it was really weird that they had to decide what to show, the action in the ring or that. And then they spike him through the table, and then they were like, all right, we're gonna take a break.
Yeah,
then it's just.
And then they just go back to the match. Yeah, they're like, hey, Kenny's dead. We don't need to look at him anymore. He's been murdered. He's got a giant shard of glass in his head now. So we just go back to the ring and we'll watch the Young Bucks lose to LAX and Jericho, which is exactly what happened. But everybody saw that happening. I will say. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, did you notice? And this may be coming up, but. I believe Matt told Nick like we're running out of time. It was like
I didn't see that.
It was like 8:55, and so Nick hits the tope through the ropes and kind of does his like he's like celebrating like that, and Matt's like come on, like get him in the ring, and I guess it could have been taken that he's trying to get him to set him up for the Meltzer driver, but I think they're doing everything they can not to have another run over because they've had like 2 so far.
Yeah, well, also this show had a huge payoff at the end. We needed that to happen.
Exactly.
Couple of things that I did write down. Matt did like a rebound off the turnbuckle over either Santana or Ortiz and hit like a cutter on it. Dude, so many cutters tonight, and normally I would complain about the same move being done, but there were so many different variations of it, and they all looked fucking awesome. Can't be mad about it. Another note I have is, if Matt's back is that bad, how the fuck is he still wrestling? Every single match they have now, Matt is selling the back, and he's been doing it for like 2 or 3 years, it feels like.
It's the Rollins knee.
Well, the problem is like, so you can have issues with a knee or a neck or something, and it's like, oh, he's had surgery on that. If he gets a bad hit to it, it could re-injure the thing. But it just seems like Matt's back never heals. They just had this long gap between wrestling because they took the time off to start AEW. Like, you didn't rehab your back at all during that. I don't know, man. It just seems stale. It's a minor nitpicky thing and an otherwise like great end to a match because the rest of this match was fucking awesome. After that, Nick Jackson clears house and then does a lot of really cool offense. Literally constant motion. Kicks Jericho, jumps over, jumps off the back of Santana or Ortiz, I can't remember which one it was, and then goes and does a moonsault onto the third person. Knocks them all out. I thought that was really great, but then of course Nick jumps back into the ring. Jericho catches him with a code breaker. Matt takes the juice effect. Dude, I thought it was all awesome.
The code breaker out of the I definitely popped for that. That
so
looked
good.
Great.
He almost didn't make it there, but it looked good because it was like, hey, I got it last minute. I did the thing. Yeah. And then of course the Judas effect where they threw Matt at him. Honestly, I think that's the best the Judas effect has ever looked. I kind of wish that he could just have a lackey with him in all his matches, which it's kind of looking like now he will. To just throw them into him to do the Judas effect, because by himself, it does not look good. But, of course, Jericho with the pinfall. They win the match. This is where the real stuff happens. So I do want to take a little bit of time to talk about this because it is so important. Like this, like took me from being sort of out of it with the weird no DQ thing, and all of a sudden I'm right back in it. Like fuck yeah, this is wrestling. We get Cody out for the Retribution. He's getting some hits in. You hear the crowd go wild again. So of course there's another run in. The run in is Sammy. Sammy waits for Cody to turn around. This is what I was assuming was going to happen at the start, but I actually liked that they waited. It was nice. Sammy just takes him to Dick Kick City right off the bat, just knocks him out with it. And then we get Dustin out in full bodysuit, and he's got his makeup on for some reason, even though he's not scheduled to wrestle tonight.
My guess was he's the dark match.
Oh, that's true. Dang, I didn't even think about that. There is a dark match afterward. We'll have to look into that after this because I'm curious to see what the dark match was. And I wonder if dark matches count for AEW because wins and losses, you know, we'll see. I'm curious to see that stuff. But then of course after Dustin runs out, we get the surprise debut, formerly known as Jack Swagger. We get Jake Hager. I don't remember him being such a big dude, but he's so tall.
You're exactly right. And I don't know. The only thing I could think of, and this makes no sense, I was like, does being buried by WWE somehow make you smaller? Like
it's because they just had him get knocked out by like Undertaker and the Big Show and shit. Like, so you only saw him against taller guys.
Massive.
He's a big guy.
Massive. They said 6'5", 260.
Yeah,
he's gigantic. He was towering over everyone in the ring.
Every single person, and not only that, dude, but they made sure to put over the fact multiple times he's undefeated in MMA. Bellator, which is a legit MMA federation. It's not fucking one championship who has a dying TV deal that they're trying to promote with Kenny Omega's t-shirts. This is a legit MMA fighter who has legit MMA wins. And now he's Jericho's heavy. Like, he is... I wasn't sure at first if they were making this into a faction of heels. I actually have in my notes, is this a faction or is it just common ground for tonight's episode?
Yeah.
But commentary put over the fact that he was destroying anybody that Jericho told him to attack. So, we have to assume at this point that he's working for Jericho. I think that's awesome. I think at Jericho's age, it works for him to have a heavy. Why not? He's rich as shit. He's been doing this stuff all over the world. He has money. Why not pay a younger, obviously stronger guy to do all the hard work for him, and he gets to retain the title and have a little bit of the bubbly. I think it's fucking awesome. Huge chants for him, dude. The We the People chants are the loudest chants there were all night, and I was into it, dude. And he teased. The camera was focused on him, dude, and his arms were at his sides, and I was like, dude, he's gonna do it. He's gonna put it to his chest. Obviously, he can't for obvious reasons, but dude, I wanted him to so bad. Like, as hard as I'm marking out right now, like it was way more hardcore when it was happening, dude. I was a fucking child in a toy store. I loved it.
Dude, and good for him. I'm so happy that this is what I want to see is people that were, you know, the Sean Spears, the Dustin Rhodes, the Jake Hagers, the people that were cast aside as just not going to be anything or no point in having you on the roster, actually getting, you know, to have a run and to get recognition. To me, that's a big part of why I'm excited about AEW.
Definitely, man. And it further proves a point, something that WWE has always been afraid to do, and AEW has never been afraid to do so far. How over these guys can get just being themselves. You don't need these fucking stupid characters. You don't need all these dumb gimmicks. Jake Hager isn't a good talker. He doesn't need to talk. Let him come in and just beat the shit out of people. He's a huge dude. And that further goes to WWE's point. They never really talked about how massive this guy is. They never put that. I don't remember that.
Nope.
I mean, he even wrestled people who were smaller than him, and I don't remember him being this massive guy. He was just this goofy dude with a lisp that they constantly made fun of, and then couldn't figure out why he didn't get over as world champion.
Yep.
But thank God he's here. I'm so stoked to see him wrestle. And what's great is if he's Jericho's heavy, Jericho can do all the talking for both of them. This is a mutually beneficial partnership. Having Sammy Guevara as their I won't say cruiserweight because they're not doing divisions, but as their smaller guy, their up and comer, and then LAX as their tag team to go after the belts. Dude, I think it's a great faction. I don't know what the
I do
fuck they're
too.
gonna call it, but clearly this is their anti-elite, and I think it's an awesome idea.
I agree completely. Seeing, and, and maybe, maybe I'm reaching or maybe it's blasphemy to say it, but seeing them all lined up had that very end of Nitro NWO standing tall feel to it for me. It's the fact that we haven't in quite a while, I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't had a stable. We haven't had a 5-person stable. We've had the threes with the OC or whatever you want to call them
Yeah,
now.
I mean
Uh,
Undisputed Era is 4 people, but like
Undisputed Era, yeah,
even them, they're constantly teasing breaking up. Like, we don't get like large American factions anymore. We haven't since the days of like DX and NWO, and then of course dying days of WCW. But let's not talk about the fucking Millionaires
yeah,
Club and the New Blood because
yeah.
that's
Because I mean,
terrible.
this is, and then you had the Bullet Club. But the Bullet Club, guess what, guys? The Bullet Club wasn't on American television.
Yeah, it was.
That
I mean, it
there's a
was
big
on Ring of Honor, but it was like a select
yeah,
members on Ring of Honor. It was never a Ring of Honor thing. It was a thing that was shown on Ring of Honor's TV
yeah,
show. Um, but
true.
dude, that's all I've got to say about the show. It was awesome. It definitely had some downsides, but I think it's gonna take learning. If you go back and watch the first episodes of Raw, they're not great. There are good things about them, but they obviously improved over time. That's what this whole thing is about. It's feeling it out. It's learning as you go. I think we'll definitely get intro packages for some of the lesser known wrestlers going forward. I hope so, at least. There. I myself saw so many tweets about it, and I'm sure
Mhm.
AEW has a lot more people tweeting at them than what I'm seeing. So
Yeah. I
surely they
think
take that feedback.
yeah, no, absolutely, and I mean, I think one of the things that's cool is Cody went on record and said that it was I think it was sometime last week, he said that he said, "I'm I wanna hear everything that y'all have to say, the good, the bad, all of it." He's like, "Don't ever feel like you can't you know, share that with me because we want to make the product for you."
Definitely.
And we want to build something that y'all enjoy, and that's kind of the antithesis of what they're going against. So uh,
Yeah. We're,
they're actually reaching out and talking to people through social media, um, and listening. I mean, listening, and it'll be interesting to see how they take that, and if they take that feedback and that criticism and actively incorporate it into making the show better.
Yeah, and I don't see them not doing that. They've literally gotten as far as they have because of the fans, so I don't think we're gonna have any issues with them not listening to the fans from now on. Um, but yeah, like I said, that's all I've got. I think the show was great. Was it perfect? No, but it's a great start. Especially the ending. If they can end every episode like that, they're gonna keep their audience. Their audience is gonna keep tuning in because they want to see what's gonna happen at the end, and they want to see where it picks up from last week's episode. Because right now, that's all I want is for next week's episode to be here, so I can see what happens with Jericho, with Hager, with the Elite trying to fight back with these guys. But yeah, man, that's it for me. That's all I got.
No, I mean, absolutely. I think the main thing that I took away from it is I thought it was, like we said, I thought it was solid. I enjoyed it. And I think it's the alternative. It's what they wanted. It's the alternative for somebody that's out there seeking something different. It may not be, right now, it may not be star packed, star studded. You may not know everybody, but I think it's pretty undeniable that this is a straight up alternative to what we've known as wrestling for the last, you know, 30 years, however long it's been. So I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
I fully agree. Um, Real quick before we go, guys, if you're watching live or if you catch this video on YouTube, make sure to give us a like and a subscribe. We are an upcoming podcast, but we will be doing weekly reviews for AEW TV and for their pay-per-views from here on out. So you'll see us for Full Gear as well. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Our social media links are below. I'm at Chase Walker FTW. That is at Fatter Sami Zayn. And then, of course, follow us on Twitter at Smark Week. That way you can chat wrestling with us. Leave us mailbag questions. We'd love to answer those for you if you value our opinion in certain things. We're mainly going to focus on AEW for the podcast, but we'll talk to you about WWE things. No problem, especially if it's NXT. That's actually good WWE stuff.
Absolutely.
But anyway, guys, for the first edition of the Smark Weekly, I'm Chase.
I'm Ethan.
Have a good night.